Hi, and welcome to the Creative Grove Creative Tips e-list. Here is our first video project, this creatively masked oak tree. Now, to get started, we are going to take a sheet of paper that's 3 3/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches long. We're taking some small little post-it notes, and we just want to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere. And you can see that I like to work by things on an angle. Do it however you want. This is just a piece of copy paper, and it's important to note that it is slightly larger than the piece that I'm working on. That is to ensure that I don't actually get anything on my project. I poked a hole with some sharp scissors, some paper snips, and I'm just tearing a small border. So my border is about 1/2 inch, and I'm just going back and forth. And if you're left-handed, you're just going to tear from the bottom upward with your other hand. So you can see I'm right-handed here. So I'm just randomly going around, and you'll see me fix a little tiny spot here at the end. It's important to note that this video is sped up a little bit, just so you don't think I'm going really that fast. So there, I'm just kind of tweaking my thing, making sure I don't have any funky little grooves or peaks or anything like that. And that's going to basically be the shape of the image that we're going to create. Now we're going to adhere this down with some post-it notes as well to make sure that it's totally secure. And you can see me pointing there. I was making sure that I was covering my edge. Since we're going to do a little bit of sponging, it's very easy to go beyond your mask, and that's why you want to make sure that you're covering your workspace. Otherwise you'll end up getting a little bit of ink onto your project, as I have done many times. So I love these little tiny post-it notes. They're perfect for things like this. I actually have post-it notes in many sizes on my desk. Next, we're going to use Bashful Blue. You can also use Soft Sky, any light blue. And you can see here I have a little piece of cardstock that I actually punched out, and that I'm using to extend my sponge there. I'm very lightly sponging the blue on the upper portion of our mask. Now, I have that piece of paper off to the left because that is where I'm actually first dabbing my sponge, just to make sure that I'm getting off all the harsher parts of the ink. So now I'm just adding this, and I'm speeding this up just so this goes a little bit quicker for you. And I'm actually going back and forth here, just creating some interest in the sky. But for the most part, I am going in a circular motion. And I want to get good coverage here. It's a very light ink, so it's very easy. And I'm actually going in circular motion. I know it looks like I'm going back and forth, but circular motion is really what you're looking for. So I've got about 2/3 covered with the Bashful Blue, and that's going to be our sky. You want to be careful around the edges just so you're not lifting that up. You want to keep it in kind of the same spot. And if you find that you're having a great difficulty, you might want to try adding a little bit of two-way glue to the back. Make sure that it's dry so that it works like a post-it. So here you have Garden Green, and I'm going to do the same. I'm just creating a very light base, and you'll see me just kind of go in certain spots and just create a little bit more depth of color. And you know, when you look at a grassy hill, it's not exactly the same hue 100% everywhere. So I might have some darker spots here and darker spots there, and that's normal. So here are the top 2/3. We have blue, and the bottom third we have green. And now we're going to add this great oak tree from Lovely as a Tree. We're going to use Stays On Jet Black ink, and this is a permanent ink. So it is waterproof because we're going to do a little bit of coloring with an aqua painter. So we're going to be adding a little bit of water, and we want to make sure that our ink does not bleed into the color that we're doing. We want to make sure that our image remains nice and crisp. Being that it is Stays On, you need to give it a few minutes to transfer from your project to from your stamp to your project. Here's the aqua painter. We have water in the shaft there, and what we do is we gently squeeze it as we need more. So right here I'm squeezing it and testing to see how much water is on my finger. I'm so sorry that's off camera. Usually I always think I'm on camera, but sometimes I'm just slightly off. And I'm making sure that it's not overly wet. If it is, I just remove that with a paper towel. I'm squeezing an early espresso ink pad, and that is a nice darker brown. And I'm going with a really light shade here You can see it's just nice and light. You can always test it out on a piece of paper before going to your project. And I just want to kind of color in those lower boughs and the trunk, and then the roots as well. I want to kind of accentuate those. I don't want those to remain black. I want them to be a little brown. So we're just going to come in here, paint those, and we're going to add a little bit more with the brown afterward. I have a piece of paper there. I just cleaned off my aqua painter, making sure that it was clear. And now I'm going to take some of that garden green and do a really light coloring or shading here. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it all, the boughs, everything, because I'm going to come back over that with some of the early espresso. You can see that was a little dark right there at the bottom, and that's okay to have some darker spots. Again, trees are not exactly the same hue throughout, so you want to add a little bit of variation in there. Just want to get a nice coloring here. And you can see the stamp itself, you know, being that it is black, kind of gives it a little bit more interest and depth to everything. Have fun with this. Try it at different strengths. This project goes so quickly, it's very easy to make multiple cards of this. Now I'm going to clear that off, and now I picked up some more of the early espresso, and I'm adding in some of the tree branches throughout our oak tree. And this is going to help give it a little bit more realism. You want to go very lightly, just with the tip of your aqua painter. And then we're going to end up adding a little bit of highlights to the bottom there. So we have lots of little ridges in this actual image, and I'm just kind of outlining my tree, giving it a little bit, you know, of a darker shade right there. And we have a couple of little divots or roots, and we're going to make those a little bit darker as well. You'd be surprised how quick this project actually goes. Now we'll lift this up, and we're going to have a big reveal. Wait till you see how awesome this looks. Doesn't that look great? I love this project. It's really a lot of fun. And you can try this with any tree. It doesn't have to be lovely as a tree if you don't have lovely as a tree. I love all that character, the depth. You can really see it. And I have some great close-ups at the end of this video too. So next, now that we have that, we are going to attach it to our base. And we have a 4 1/4 inch wide by 11 inch long piece of paper. It's folded at the top. And this is Whisper White by Stampin' Up! And now we're going to add some dimensionals. I always put a dimensional in each corner, and I'm just going to kind of jump ahead here. And you can see I have one in each corner, and then I have kind of a diamond in the middle. This is to really make sure that it remains popped up. Big mistake that a lot of stampers make is they don't add enough foam dots or dimensionals to the back of their projects. So now that we have that, I'm going to take this great little set, and it's got some cute little sayings. This set's actually a retired Stampin' Up! Set. I'll list it on the page below. Stamp that in early espresso, and look how great that is. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you in a few days for another video. Here are some great close-ups. Bye-bye.